Good morning. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Phoibos PX002C. I bought this watch from Amazon for £100. So firstly let's look at the box that the watch comes in. The watch comes in this black cardboard outer protective box, and inside the outer box one gets the watch box. Now firstly I want to give Phoibos due credit for producing a good quality and well finished watch box at this respective price point. This is a low tier price point piece, it's only £100, and normally one would expect a throwaway cardboard or plastic watch box at this price point. But I'm pleased to report that Phoibos has actually produced a very good quality and well finished watch box. I really like the fabric used and the contrasting blue stitching. I really think it's a pleasant surprise and it really does create a good first impression of the watch. I also like the use of a metal popper to secure the hinge lid. It's a very nice feature and something one wouldn't expect at a low tier. So inside the watch box is well finished with a nice fabric, and the watch itself sits on a padded pillow cushion. So very well thought out design and very aesthetically pleasing watch box. I'll talk you through the other items that come with the watch. The watch comes with a very comprehensive instruction manual which details how to operate the quartz movement used in the watch. So a very useful read if you're unfamiliar with quartz movements such as the Ronda 515 used in this piece. One also gets a plastic international guarantee card, and I'm pleased to report that this Phoibos PX002C comes with a 1-year international guarantee. On the reverse of the guarantee card, it details the two addresses of Phoibos, the headquarters in China where the watch is made, and also they have a North America authorised service centre. So I think that that's very reassuring because, for example, if you're a collector that's bought the watch and you're based in America, you don't have to return the watch to China for repair or a warranty claim. You can simply return it to their North American authorised service centre for repair. So I think it's very good at £100 to get a 1-year guarantee with a watch. One also gets a return form, so if you do want to make a repair claim or warranty claim during that 1-year period, the watch comes with this Phoibos watch repair application form. So you fill in your contact details and return the watch either to their China headquarters or alternatively their North American service centre. And lastly, one also gets a leaflet which details that this watch also comes with a 30-day return policy. So if for any reason you're unhappy with a watch, you can simply return it to Phoibos for full refund within a 30-day period, providing the watch is returned in its original state, fully wrapped in plastic and unworn. So I think that's fair enough. I bought the watch from Amazon for £100, and the watch therefore is covered by the Amazon return policy. But if you buy the watch from Phoibos direct from their website, they also have that 30-day return policy, so very reassuring. So with regards to the specification of this Phoibos PX002C, it's a 42mm case and it has a 50mm lug-to-lug measurement and a 22mm lug width. Now, the first thing one notices about this watch is it's clearly an homage to the Rolex 16610 Submariner, the pre-ceramic, and it has a very similar case shape, although it's 2mm larger at 42mm rather than the 40mm of the Submariner respectively. Now, the other thing one notices is this watch looks very close to the Steinhardt Ocean 1, and when this Phoibos PX002C was released, it drew much speculation from collectors that the Steinhardt Ocean 1 case is made in China rather than Switzerland. And the first thing I want to do is I want to dispel that myth. It was a myth that was propagated on social media and watch forums. When this Phoibos watch came out, because the case looked so similar and the bezel looked so similar to a Steinhardt Ocean 1, many collectors believe that Steinhardt Ocean 1 cases and Phoibos cases were made in the same Chinese factory. But that is a myth. Steinhardt have used two different factories to make their watches over the years. They used Gravana, which was based in Tenneken in Switzerland, and then Günther Steinhardt changed to using Palladium AG, which is based in Lis in Switzerland. So both Gravana and Palladium AG are based in Switzerland, and they manufactured the cases for the Steinhardt Ocean 1. Steinhardt have never manufactured their cases in China. I think it's more probable that Phoibos, the watch brand, observed the success and popularity of the Steinhardt Ocean 1, and therefore they decided to copy the case of the Steinhardt Ocean 1 and use the same dimensions for this Phoibos PX002C. And it's been a success because the PX002C has been a very popular watch for Phoibos. It's been very successful. So copying the Ocean 1's case shape, bezel and dimensions really has been a good move for Phoibos. But I just want to clarify, this watch is definitely made in China, but the Steinhardt Ocean 1 is definitely made in Switzerland, despite the similarities. So with regards to the rest of the specification, it has a 22mm lug width, and the Oyster bracelet tapers down to 18mm at the 2-button push flip-lock clasp. The watch is 13mm thick, so it's the same thickness as a Steinhardt Ocean 1. Now, early versions of this Phoibos PX002C came with a Cyclops magnifier over the date window at 3 o'clock. It was a criticism that collectors had with regards to quality control and build quality. Sometimes that Cyclops magnifier on the sapphire crystal wasn't aligned correctly. It was slightly off center. It didn't align perfectly. It didn't sit straight over the date window at 3 o'clock. So Phoibos simply decided to remove the Cyclops magnifier from the watch, and this current version, as you can see, just uses a flat sapphire crystal with no AR coating. So the negative of not having an AR coating is that, as you can see, that flat sapphire crystal is highly reflective, and therefore that makes it more difficult to read the watch in direct light conditions. It's highly reflecting the LED table lamp you can see, for example. But however, I personally prefer sapphire crystals to be clear without any AR coating, because I dislike the blue hue one gets when one tilts a watch with AR coating at an oblique angle. I like the perfect clarity and legibility of not having AR coating. So with regards to the rest of the watch, it's 180 grams, so it is a heavy piece, and that comes as a surprise when you take this watch out of the watch box. As it's a quartz powered piece rather than automatic, you would expect it to be lighter, under 150 grams, which is typical for a 40 or 42mm dive piece. So it's quite surprising because it does actually feel like a heavy watch, and I personally like the feeling of heft with a watch because it's an indication of quality and a solid stainless steel case and solid links in the bracelet. So with regards to the rest of the specification, it has a sapphire crystal, as I've discussed, and it also has a beautifully executed black sunburst dial. This is something I really like about the watch, the fact that it doesn't just have the default Submariner matte black dial. I actually like the sunburst finish, which is subtle, but I like the way it reflects the light around the dial. Has a similar dial layout to the Submariner and the Ocean 1, with the large applied indices and the use of Swiss BGW9 Superluminova. So the watch is powered by the Swiss-made Ronda 515 quartz movement, and I have to say I'm a big fan of the Ronda 515. It's a very reliable, well-proven workhorse quartz movement. The accuracy is reasonable at -10 seconds to +20 seconds per month, and the Ronda 515 has been used for a long time, so I would have no reservations about its reliability whatsoever. I actually think it's unusual and also a credit to Phoibos that they didn't use a Miyota quartz movement such as the 2115, which is a popular Japanese-made quartz movement used in the Casio Joro, for example. To get a watch at only £100 that uses a Swiss-made Ronda quartz movement really is very good, and it's something I really like about this watch. Now, another thing I really like about the Ronda 515 is it has a good battery life. The battery life of the Ronda 515 is stated as 45 months, so that's nearly 4 years of battery life. And really, to get anything in excess of 3 years battery power from a quartz movement really is very good. So I like the 45-month battery life. I like the accuracy being -10 to +20 seconds per month. I'm pleased to report that this one is running between plus or minus 1 second per day, and I think that that is very good, bearing in mind that the watch is only £100. So I like the lack of the Cyclops magnifier. There's no problem with the legibility of reading the date complication at 3 o'clock because it has a white date wheel with contrasting black numerals. So very well thought out dial, and it is an homage to the Submariner, so the dial layout is very similar and therefore it's very legible with the Mercedes hands. Now, with regards to the octopus logo that Phoibos used, personally I'm not a fan of it. Early Phoibos watches used Phoibos in text rather than the octopus logo, and I actually prefer that. I thought it was cleaner looking, and I actually thought it was a better looking brand logo. But however, they then switched to this octopus logo, and if you look at the 2-button push flip-flop bracelet, you will see it's also engraved with the same octopus logo, as is the solid stainless steel screw-down crown. Now, in terms of the crown's execution, it's a coin edge finished screw-down solid stainless steel crown, and I'm pleased to report that the action of the crown in terms of its screwing down and unscrewing is silky smooth. It's a very well executed screw-down crown which provides an effective hermetic seal to 300 meters of water resistance. The case back is also solid stainless steel, and again it has the Phoibos brand logo, the octopus, engraved on the back, along with the specification of the watch, including that it has a Swiss movement. So I really like it. I think that it is a very well executed screw down solid stainless steel case back, which provides another hermetic seal to 300 meters of water resistance. So although I dislike the octopus logo, I have to give credit to Phoibos with regards to their builds quality, the quality control and the finishing of the case back. It is a very well done screw down exhibition case back. So with regards to the bezel, it looks very similar to the Steinhardt Ocean 1. It has an aluminium bezel insert, and I'm pleased to report that it has an excellent bezel action. Very firm resistance, good solid reassuring clicks to the 120 click unidirectional bezel, and it feels very similar to a Steinhardt Ocean 1. Very good quality feel with minimal back play, and I really like it. I like the action, I like the resistance, the loud clicks, and also the fact that the alignment is perfect when one brings the bezel up to 12 o'clock. So the Lume pip and triangle on the bezel insert align perfectly with the 12 o'clock index, and that's always nice to see. So I like the bezel action, I like the finishing of it, and I also like the look of the aluminium bezel insert. If you're considering a Steinhardt Ocean 1 but it's too expensive and you're looking for a low tier piece that looks similar to the Steinhardt Ocean 1, really this does the job very well because it's only £100. One is getting the reliability and the accuracy of quartz, and it's simple. If you wear the watch in rotation with other watches in your collection, I think it's a positive that you don't have to keep manually winding the watch to top up the power reserve, and you don't have to keep resetting the date, because with a quartz, as I've stated, this will run for 45 months on that battery life. So it's a really maintenance-free, trouble-free watch. One can simply wear in rotation and not have to worry about resetting the date complication or setting the time. So I like that functionality of the watch, but it's still a credible 300 meter water resistant dive piece. So what are the negatives to the watch? Well, the case polishing and brush satin finish to the case, the bezel, the case back are all excellent, as is the screw down crown. The weak point of the watch, the negative aspect of the watch, is the execution of the bracelet. There are some marks on the end links, but however, I'm pleased to report that the bracelet uses solid end links, which again is very nice to see at this price point. Usually at the £100 price points, one would expect to see hollow folded end links. So I think it's a credit to Phoibos that they haven't taken that cost-cutting production measure and they've used solid end links in the bracelet. But however, there is some play, there is some slack in between the links where the pins, the pins are push pins rather than screw pins in a Steinhardt Ocean 1, for example. There is some play in between the links, and that's a negative. I like to see a tight oyster bracelet. As you can see, if you look closely, there's some movement where the pin goes through the centre link. So the bracelet does have some play, it does have some slack in it. But however, the solid end links are a good fit to the case and they are well executed. There's no play in the spring bars or the end links fit into the case. It's a good 22mm fit. So it's just the links themselves. Now the brush satin finish is well executed and the flanks of the oyster bracelet are polished to a mirror finish, which is flawless. So I've got no criticisms with regards to the finishing, although there are some marks on the end links from machining. The negative really is the 2-button push flip-lock clasp, which is engraved with the Phoibos octopus, as I've discussed. It's very light gauge metal, and the thing I dislike about it is the interior. It's pressed metal which is brushed into a satin finish. Yes, it's made from stainless steel rather than being nickel plated mild steel, but the problem is that the gauge of metal feels very lightweight and cheap, it's poor quality, and it's also very short in terms of its length. So although the execution is good, the 2-button push works well, and it's got a positive click shut and also reassuring flip lock click. It's nicely finished, but the problem is the quality. It's just disappointing to see a pressed metal clasp, a short clasp, and also light gauge of metal. I would prefer to see a milled clasp, but however, one has to accept at £100 there is going to be some cost-cutting measures. On a Seiko 5, for example, one always expects to see a pressed metal clasp, and indeed it does have hollow folded end links on a Seiko 5. So solid end links are a positive, and I think that really with regards to the rest of the specification, it's acceptable to have this cost-cutting measure of the poor quality bracelet and flip lock clasp, because it has a sapphire crystal, it uses Swiss BGW9 Superluminova, it uses a Swiss-made Ronda 515 quartz movement. So these are positives which I think outweigh the negatives of the bracelet. So I'll give you a wrist shot and show you what it looks like on my 8-inch wrist. Now I haven't sized this watch, I've simply taken it straight out of the watch box, and I'm pleased to report that it does indeed fit my 8-inch wrist without removing any links from the bracelet. It's actually got some spare room there, so very comfortable. So if you're a collector with a larger wrist, this watch will fit a 7 to 8-inch wrist without any difficulties whatsoever. In terms of comfort, the fit is very similar to a Steinhardt Ocean 1, and as you can see it has a very similar flat lug profile. So there is a gap underneath the lugs due to that 50mm lug to lug measurement, which is quite long for a 42mm case. But it's very comfortable on the wrist, and the Oyster bracelet and also the flat stainless steel screw down case back do give good comfort. I would say the feel-good factor of this watch is outstanding. It really does give 10 out of 10 comfort and feel-good factor. I like the flat sapphire crystal without the Cyclops magnifier, and I also like the lip of the crystal projecting above the aluminium bezel insert. Very pleasing to look at the watch at an oblique angle, and very comfortable piece to wear. I also like the way that black sunburst dial reflects the light around the dial, and the brushed satin finish rehort. It's a very well executed rehort, and also I like the large maxi dial style applied indices. So finishing on the case, the bezel, the aluminium bezel insert, and also that flat sapphire crystal are all very good. Very satisfying to look at. Really the only disappointment is the bracelets. As I've discussed, the finishing could be improved, and also the quality with regards to quality control, because there are some marks, as you can see, on the end link which do spoil the brushed satin finish of the bracelet. So good looking watch, comfortable to wear with good feel good factor. So I'll just give you a Lume test, and then you can see the performance of the Swiss BGW9 Superluminova. So just bear with me, and I will turn out the table lamps, and then I'll charge up the watch using my 100 LED UV torch. Right, so as you can see, the watch is already beginning to glow just from the LED table lamps that I use, but I'm going to charge it up fully to the absolute maximum using my 100 LED UV torch, and then we'll see what the peak performance is of the Swiss BGW9 Superluminova used on this watch. Usually at this price point one wouldn't normally expect to see Swiss BGW9. That really is top quality grade Lume, and it's often the case that Luminova is used rather than Superluminova, so I think it's a credit to Phoibos that they haven't cut any corners with regards to the Lume used. So there it is, fully charged. Now I'm pleased to say that it is glowing very brightly in a very aesthetically pleasing blue tone, and that does indeed look like Swiss BGW9 Superluminova. So the watch is glowing brightly, and I also think the legibility of the Mercedes hands is excellent. It's really nice quality Lume. Now the only criticism I have is that it's not holding charge for a good length of time. It's immediately beginning to fade. So initially the Swiss BGW9 Superluminova glows very brightly in a very aesthetically pleasing blue tone, but unfortunately it doesn't hold the charge for a good length of time. I think the performance of Seiko Lume Bright is superior, so that will give you an idea of how good it is. I think, for example, the Lume on a Seiko 5 is better quality in terms of brightness and also the length of time that the Lume glows. So initially it glows brightly, but then it begins to fade. But however, it is functional, and as you can see, you can still read the lume on the dial and also the hands. But I think that Phoibos could improve on the application of the lume, putting on more of it to give a longer glowing time. So satisfactory, but nothing exceptional. So lastly, I'll just surmise the watch. So what do I think of it? Well, usually when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet two criteria. The watch should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So the price point of this watch is £100. It's a low tier price point piece. So one would usually have low expectations in terms of the build quality, the quality control and the finishing. But I'm pleased to report that this watch has many positives and very few negatives, and I feel that the positives outweigh the negatives. Overall, I think it's excellent quality and excellent value for £100. Yes, there are some negatives, such as that it uses a pressed metal clasp, and also the quality of the finishing of the bracelet could be improved, and also the build quality, because there is some play, as I've discussed. But however, the watch does use a Swiss Ronda 515 quartz movement, which is very good, and it also has a sapphire crystal. It's unusual to get a Swiss Ronda 515 in a £100 watch, and it's also unusual to get a sapphire crystal. One would usually expect either mineral crystal or alternatively hardlex, which is used by Seiko. So I think those things are major positives. I like the use of a Swiss quartz movement, and I like the use of solid end links in the bracelet. Overall, I think it's a good looking watch, and the build quality in terms of the bezel action, the screw down crown, the screw down stainless steel caseback, and the fact it has a black sunburst dial with nicely applied indices. It's a nice looking watch, and it's done well, and I like it, so I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money. I was actually pleasantly surprised. This is the first time I've handled a Phoibos watch, and I had low expectations because the watch is made in China, and also the fact that it's only £100. I thought it was going to be a poor quality watch, but I'm pleased to say that it's actually surprised me, because it's good quality, it's good value, the finishing is good, the build quality is good, and really the specification is good at the price point, so I'm going to recommend it for your consideration. So I hope you've liked my review of the Phoibos PX002C. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.